welcome back to another Centennial Tidbit, where today we're talking with Lieutenant Colonel retired Marilla Cushman with the Military Women's Memorial. She's actually the Vice President for Development. And we're going to be talking about how the memorial is working with the society in the centennial year and how we have ties to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. So I'd like to welcome to this. I'm going to just go with Marilla, if that's fine with you.
That's perfect. Thank you very much.
Well, could you do me a favor, though, and kind of introduce yourself to us?
Well, thank you. I'm happy to introduce myself. I'm, as Gavin said, I'm a retired Army Lieutenant Colonel. I spent nearly 25 years in the Army. Joined as a WAC, many years ago in 1972, and retired in 1997. It's always kind of nostalgic to reflect on a 25-year career, and certainly during the time span when I served, the influence that military women had, and the evolution of their roles was just dramatic. So what happened, I retired in 1997, the end of February, and on the 1st of March, I came here to the Military Women's Memorial before it was even dedicated, to help tell that story of women's service to the nation. So I have been here at the Military Women's Memorial since March of 1997. So I guess I'm the old gal.
How about we just say plank owner, not old gal?
Okay. Oh, that's
plank owner sound. Yeah,
that sounds the Navy. Much better.
When you were in the service, obviously you got to see a lot of different things. What was your last assignment in the military?
Well, Gavin, thank you. I had the privilege of serving on the staff as the Deputy Public Affairs Officer to the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
Wow.
And it truly was a privilege. The chairman at the time was General Marilla Cushman, and the vice chairman was Admiral Bill Owens. And they were, I learned so much, and certainly the dramatic change that was going on in the military at the time, with the end of the Cold War and how we were moving forward in various conflicts and our influence around the world was, as I said, it was just such a privilege to be able to be part of that and to help tell that story on their behalf, for sure. I have to tell you my favorite job, though. I was a program manager for Army advertising and the Be All You Can Be campaign. I don't know if your listeners will remember that, but that was, I traveled around the world producing advertising for recruiting and our great Army. So it was such an incredible thing to be able to see the work that you do on television, on billboards, on the radio, and magazines. It was a great job, for sure.
Nice. Well, I know that our paths somewhat crossed because I came to the regiment in August of '97. So I remember the bitterly cold day of when the Women's Memorial was dedicated, but I don't remember the actual date. What was the date that the memorial was dedicated?
It was October 18, 1997. And yes, it was, we had planned, we had 40,000 people who came to the dedication. We filled Memorial Drive from the front of the memorial, Women's Memorial, nearly all the way down to the circle. And yes, indeed, we battled rain, a lot of rain and cold. But I tell you, the folks who came, we had women from World War I, who came and participated in that ceremony. One of the women, her name was Frida Harden, traveled all the way from California and spoke at this event before these 40,000 people. And I will remember her words forever. And she said,
I served in the Navy. Women were not even allowed to vote.
So think about that, she raised her right hand and promised to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. And she didn't even have the privilege of voting. But it was the service of women like Frida Hardin, who was the tipping point, actually, for the passage of the 19th Amendment that gave women the right to vote, because no longer could they say that women didn't fulfill the full responsibilities of a citizen, i.e. they weren't serving in the military, because indeed they did. And we know that we had hundreds of nurses who served overseas during World War I, and certainly women who served here in the Navy. In fact, it was World War I where the first enlisted women served, and so it was a great event for sure on October 18, 1997. Indeed.
Oh,
I think we changed the face of Monumental Washington.
I think you did. It was a powerful ceremony. I do remember that. For those that have not had the opportunity yet to come to the Military Women's Memorial, can you tell us what its function is and a little bit about some of the features inside the memorial itself?
I'd be delighted to. Thank you for the opportunity. The memorial itself, it's a memorial as well as a 33,000 square foot education center, which chronicles the history of women's service to the nation. And we do that in a variety of ways at the memorial. The memorial itself, or the education center, includes an exhibit gallery, a 220-foot exhibit gallery that chronicles the history of women's service to the nation. And we do that in a variety of ways. Looks very much like a museum, but we do that in a variety of ways in this exhibit gallery with images, videos, certainly artifacts. We have both permanent as well as temporary exhibits that speak to the history and various aspects of women's service to the nation. For example, we have 3 permanent exhibit cases that speak to the history of and the service of women during World War II, because that really, the women of World War II, some 400,000 of them served, and they really kind of changed the nature of women's place in society here in America. For the first time, because the women who served were eligible for the GI Bill. They came home, they went to school on their own. They became our teachers, business leaders, and set the stage actually for me to be able to serve and the thousands of women who served after that. So there, again, there are never before seen artifacts. We have some incredible pieces of diaries, of uniforms. We even have some wedding dresses that were made out of parachute silk that are always kind of a fun sort of an artifact to be able to see. We have letters and pieces of redacted documents that many of the women served as in intelligence areas in overseas, who would review correspondence before it came back. But just, really extraordinary things. We also speak certainly to the women who served during Korea, mostly a nurses' war, as well as in Vietnam. And we speak quite heavily to the current wars, the global war on terrorism. And we do that in a variety of ways as well, with their stories, their pictures that they've sent to us. At the time when we established this particular exhibit, the Command Sergeant Major in Afghanistan was a woman. And we reached out to Command Sergeant Major Pritchett and asked her if she could help us tell this story by reaching out to the women who were serving. So they sent us their email diaries, their pictures, uniforms, things of that sort, so that we could shape this story for the American public as they came to visit. The heart of the memorial is what we call the register, and it's an interactive database that contains the stories of nearly 295,000 women who have served. And that grows every single day. We love to say that we're a living memorial because indeed women register, or their family members register, the service of a woman every single day, every minute practically. But what we ask in this register is we ask women to provide us a picture. Tell us a little bit about what you did, your awards and decorations, where you served, and which all goes into, as I said, an interactive database that can be accessed at the memorial. Or we've just launched a new database, online public portal, where individuals can set up an account and be able to go in and just as if they were at the memorial themselves and look up their friends or themselves or a family member. And it is quite poignant to have I'll just use an example, a kid come from California and he or she comes in with the class and calls up his sister, and so that his class, his friends can pay tribute to his sister. And of course we have, women who served, in World War II, who come on honor flights, and we're always so grateful to be able to lift their service and tell their story of service and to honor them in this public place, the only major national memorial that speaks to the service of military women. Also, in addition to this, to register, we have 196 six-seat theater, where we are able to do, host programs and film debuts that speak to women's service in a variety of different ways. The memorial also includes a drop dead view of Washington, D.C. and into the cemetery itself. It's the upper terrace. And the upper terrace is dominated by an arc of glass tablets with quotations by and about military women. And these glass tablets serve as a skylight, so to speak, that into the interior of the memorial. And so on these glass tablets are quotations by and about military women. And as the sun passes over, those quotations reflect down onto the marble walls there in the memorial itself. Also on the exterior of the memorial is what we call the Court of Valor. It's the plaza, which includes a reflecting pool and fountain with 170 jets, which represent the sound of women's voices. And they come together and rest in this memorial pool. So it's all about telling that story, and the symbolism relates to that. To get up to the terrace, you can go up to the terrace from that Court of Valor through stairwells that symbolize women breaking through the barriers. So it is, like I said, the memorial itself speaks in a variety of different ways to the thousands, the millions of women who've served. Today, some 3 million women have served. One of the most sacred places in the memorial is the Hall of Honor. It's where we pay particular tribute to the women who have lost their lives in service to the nation and those women who have received the nation's highest awards. There we have the flags of the states and territories, which have been donated by the Daughters of the American Revolution, and the flagpoles and the accoutrements by the Daughters of the Confederacy. And the service flags have been loaned to us by the services themselves, along with the battle streamers. The treasure of the Hall of Honor are the sister blocks. And we are so proud, Gavin, to have and honored to have these sister blocks, because why? They are the sister blocks to the Tomb of the Unknowns. And the sister block was cut the same time that the tomb was, but set aside should something happen to the tomb. And so when we were building and designing the memorial, our architects, a couple named Michael Manfredi and Marion Weiss, wanted, as they envisioned the Hall of Honor, they thought about the Lincoln Memorial and the stone that was used at the Lincoln Memorial, which happens to be, of course, the same stone for the tomb, and how it symbolized light, and how, in fact, if you looked at it in certain ways, it did seem to emit light. So they reached out to this Colorado Ule, the quarry in Marble, Colorado, about perhaps even cladding the entire interior of the memorial with the stone from the Marble, Colorado quarry. As it turned out, where they were in the quarry was the stone was too soft, so it posed a safety hazard for the memorial itself. So we had to look elsewhere. But nevertheless, they offered the sister block to the Tomb of the Unknown to us, and so I'm always, Michael and Marion have such beautiful visions of how they see things and why they design things the way they do. And so I asked them, how did you decide how you were going to use this sister block? So if you don't mind, I want to read to you what they said to me. Marion told me the 3 panels were symbolically important to us. A single stone often celebrates those who have passed. 2 stones have a division at its center. And the 3 suggest the plurality of voices we were hoping to honor, just as the multiple tablets capture the voice of many rather than a singular one. We wanted the 3 tablets to be generously scaled, taller than an individual, and deep enough to suggest strength. So they took this piece from the Colorado Ule folks and had it shaped into these 3 sister blocks to the tomb of the unknowns. And we see them standing as sentinels to the service of women, and certainly to the service of our service members, beginning with the American Revolution. And as I said, we feel so privileged to have them there at the memorial, and particularly as this story comes to light with the 100th anniversary and the centennial of the tomb. So it's such a privilege for us to be able to share in this with you. So
Amazing
to help
memorial. I'm sorry,
me.
I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
So to celebrate the centennial, we've of course partnered with you and are delighted to be able to do that, because it does help us tell another side of this memorial and how it is part of this greater community of memorials here in Washington, D.C., and certainly part of the community of memorials that tell the story of the service of our citizens to this nation. So we have we've already started speaking to the centennial. We have a series of events called Her Story, which are posted on our website, but various aspects of women's service, some piece of it. So we were privileged to have Deborah Krebs, who is a retired military officer, but also a Navy historian who very generously told the story of bringing the body of that World War I veteran from Europe to be the first remains that would be entombed in the tomb. So she's told that story, and as I said, it's on our website. This month, which is the month of the military child, has given us the opportunity to sort of capitalize upon the Never Forget Garden. So we're doing a series of events with children here in the community that speak to the Never Forget Garden and its symbolism and its history, as well as the history of the tomb. So we're excited to do that. And then we'll have, certainly groups of children in to be able to tour the memorial and let them be able to see this tomb, this sister block and its symbolism and what it means to the whole centennial process. We're also looking to have a series of teas later in the month, or later in the year, probably starting in August. And as we approach November 11, the actual centennial date, where we will speak to give a history of the sister blocks in the tomb. And we hope to be able to introduce some of the female tomb guards. So, as you know, there are 5 of them who have had that privilege to serve. We are I can't tell you how proud we are of these women. Just being able to qualify and to be selected as a tomb guard is such an honor. And of course, where it's always been infantry folks that women were not eligible to do that. So here we are, part of this story again of the evolution of women's service in the military. So we can turn to these women tomb guards and be able to tell that story as well. So anyway, we look to be able to introduce some of those ladies to the tea attendees. So we're excited, Gavin, to be part of the centennial. And certainly to introduce this treasure, these sister blocks to the American public.
It's a fantastic memorial. I know that whenever I'm back in DC, I tend to go through it because your displays are very interesting, and you always see something that you didn't see before. It's an amazing to see the progression of women in military and their service. And I know that I've had the honor to serve beside plenty of women in my time in the military. The registry is very important. I know that I had to harass my wife for a couple times to get her to finally get up there and do that. But it's interesting. I've gone in there and just pulled up a name and just, read about someone's service, which is really interesting.
I've been here for, coming on 23, 24 years. And there's hardly a day that goes by that I don't have an opportunity to go to the register for whatever reason and be amazed at a story that I've never heard before of, these remarkable things that women have done in service to this nation. So our charge is to educate the American public about these patriots, these heroes who've been serving, in one way or another since the American Revolution.
Oh, and you're doing a fantastic job of capturing that. And I think if there's a woman in the military, regardless of the branch of service, that has not had the opportunity, you need to make the time. You need to go back and see this memorial that highlights your service and your sisters that stand beside you for generations. It's truly impressive. If people want to know more about the memorial, what's the website that they go to?
The website is www.womensmemorial.org.
And I was just on that today, and I saw that you now have a virtual tour that you can scroll through and see things. So I'm going to explore that a little more to see what you've got, changed out since the last time I was there. It's very impressive. And if someone has some direct questions to you, how do they reach out to you?
If they want to reach out to me, MJ Cushman at womensmemorial.org, or if they want to just send a general HQ at womensmemorial.org, I answer to both of them. Love your questions. Love to have folks interested in the memorial and certainly the registration process. We've just launched what we call a national registration campaign. We're looking to, our great ambition this year is to register 100,000 women within the next 12 months. So easy to do. Just go to the website, click on create an account, go in, follow the prompts, and that will get you into the database, the public portal, so that you can register yourself if you're a military woman, or if you know of a military woman, past or present, you can register her as well.
Very
So
nice.
thank you.
Well, that's a good target. I think you'll be able to make it this year. And I've enjoyed working with you, and a good partnership between our two organizations as we are in the centennial year and talking about the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. And hopefully we'll get you the opportunity to talk to the 5 current female tomb guards, maybe even 6. You never know. There's a couple in training right now. So hopefully that'll happen. Thank you, Colonel, for taking the time today to talk about the Military Women's Memorial. It's been impressive. And again, I can't say enough about it. I hope everybody gets a chance to go there.
Well, thank you, Gavin. And again, I've told you a million times, it's such a privilege to be working with you and to be able to have the opportunity to speak about the tomb and certainly our relationship with the tomb. Thank you very much for the opportunity.